Select Board meeting. It is 6:02. We are all present. We'll start right off approving the agenda as written. I've got a few extras right here.
Thank you.
There's not enough you can print. I got another one here.
I've got one.
Oh, you got one, you got one. Okay, good. Did I hear a motion from someone?
Motion to approve the agenda as written.
Second, and all in favor? Minutes. Minutes we've gone over. Everyone's had a chance to read through them?
We have.
All right. I'll make a motion to approve them. This is minutes from June 22nd as written.
Second.
All in favor? I'm gonna pass them in that so we can keep them in our order. Bills to be paid. We have a couple of pay sheets to pay here. I'm just going to initial all of these first. I'm gonna pass those over to you and then I'll give you the whole folder in a minute. Bills to be paid. This is mostly, or a lot of, the road paving that they did down in the village and also Fenderson and Maple Crest. We have a total warrant of $187,101.27. Culverts, sand and gravel, reclaiming, cold patches, shays, fire safe equipment. They come do an inspection, Danielle, is that
For the
kitchen
kitchen.
inspection? Okay. Children, where are the children playing signs gonna go?
There was a request over on Lost Mile Road with a lot of speeding. A resident requested it, and Maya said it was fine with him, so he's gonna put them up.
Okay. We did get a request for, another sign as well. Sunset Cove Road?
Yep.
Okay. Spur Road is Cornish though, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they submitted that
yeah.
through the,
Oh, that's
Through the
right, the
website.
contact, right?
Yeah.
I think I had Emily respond to that today.
oh, I already,
Oh, you did already?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
yeah, if they don't put in like a party to who it goes to me.
Right, I
And so
know,
I just handle, like I had somebody asking for permission to metal detect at Long Pond. And so I told them the town doesn't own the beach or they were looking to do it on the beach and around the boat ramp. And I told them that was all West End Camps
right,
property. They need to reach out to them.
yep, they just had a meeting on Saturday. I'm gonna pass up the whole folder to keep it together, okay? The bills are behind the warrant. Let's see, I don't think do we have any ads in the paper this week? I don't
Yeah, we
believe.
have a nomination paper ad, and we also have a closure ad for Thursday.
Okay, both, yeah. Are the nomination ads gonna like be weekly for a while, or?
It's due next Monday, so this is
Okay.
last week.
Sounds good. No reports. Planning board workshop for Wednesday's been canceled. Discussion items, we kind of went through the CEO laptop purchase already, right? Since, and the possibility of using the laptop that was in the planning board room for Norm. And then maybe hooking the one up that you bought, Saban.
Yep.
To that. So does that work for everybody so far? Hopefully?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they suggested we return the tough book,
Oh,
right?
we have to, yeah, return that, for the ACO, but I think if we can help Norm out with getting, that laptop up and running with that monitor,
Yep.
that would be good. Did they say they were coming back tomorrow? Cause they weren't here when I came back.
I don't believe so.
No?
They said they're, at some point, but I didn't hear that they were coming back tomorrow, no.
Okay, I'll ask Emily. She might be aware. So, we signed a paper giving, access to Maine Municipal Association's legal advice to certain, to those of us in the office that frequently get in touch with them. We did have a request from the chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals to have access as well. According to MMA, they use what we signed in the past to allow, to give their answers to. But they also said that we could lift this entirely so that any of the staff members, any of the board members could speak with them about any legal issues. I had Emily print this up, giving the zoning board chair the ability to speak with MMA. Does that work for everybody? It's just kind of an amendment to the restrictions on MMA legal inquiries that we already signed.
I'm fine with that.
The only question I have is, so it doesn't cost us anything to utilize the, I mean, we pay the dues, but.
Right.
But there's no extra cost for using MML legal, so I guess I don't understand why we would
Have certain restrictions on.
limit it,
I
yeah.
think because MMA requires, they need to know that they're part of the town. Like, we have emails that we can respond, that we can ask, and it says chair, or select board member, or planning board member. And I don't think that the zoning board members have emails.
Right,
So I don't know how MMA determines that they are part of the, town officials. I
right,
don't know if they email us, to find out first, and they might make a phone call. And that's why I was gonna just limit it to, the chair of the ZBA right now.
yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that, I
Yeah.
just,
Right, I don't know how they determine if they don't have like a legal type of an email, a title. I've never heard, have you heard anything from them about that? Have they recalled you to say
When
to
I was in
so-and-so?
Baldwin, usually you had to identify yourself with your name and your title and the whole town office information right at the very beginning of your email, because if you had a personal email, that's how they identified you, and they had a list of all the employees on
Right.
the MMA side, so
Right.
I would assume they would need a master list of who they can talk to and who they
Right,
can't.
and then they'll change soon, then we'll get a change after the elections and that kind of thing.
They always request a list of who is,
Who's current?
who's current,
Yeah,
so I'm assuming that's what they would use.
we could sign this for now, or, or next week. I think we should at least give Tom the ability to do this now.
right.
And then maybe next week we could, lift it from everybody. I don't, who's gonna contact MMA besides the chairs, generally speaking?
Yeah, even when we were on the planning board, we tried to have one person be the
Right.
designated contact so that
Right.
they don't get overwhelmed.
Exactly, so, I would make a motion that we sign this with adding Tom Winter.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Okay. We had another request from a woman who is interested in a lot, R13 lot 47. She's already contacted us. It's behind her property on North Road. I know we've heard from MMA about the sale of town-owned property, and I would prefer that I read it over again. I think it has to be offered, like at an annual town meeting, we have to have the town respond. The town has to vote, you know, to put land out for sale, and then we take bidders. Unless we have an ordinance that allows somebody who's, you know, privately asked, and as far as I know, we don't have one, so we can respond to her, I think, after I get a little more information.
Yep.
And decide what we wanna do. Oh, I'll take that paper back that we, yeah. Maybe the owl will fly it over. Just so we can file that away. Danielle's gonna mention, anybody else have anything up for discussion that they wanna bring up, or, no? Yeah. Danielle, you wanna do your town clerk report?
Sure. I'm sure Jen already mentioned, but just a reminder, Thursday, July 2nd, we are closed for the 4th of July holiday. The nomination papers are still available in the clerk's office, and they are due back to our office on 6 p.m., by 6 p.m. on Monday, July 6th. Tomorrow, end of day, is the end of our fiscal year, so we will be closing out our books tomorrow and starting a new fiscal year in our TRIO system. I did send you a report today on what expenses look like right now, but that is just tentative because we are still gonna have some other expenses that are gonna get dated back to this old fiscal year. I guess I kind of do getting ready for town report and all our meetings and worksheets and everything. So I was wondering if next Monday, Renee and I could have some time during your workshop to kind of go over town report sooner than later. Who's doing what? Maybe Emily would be willing to help if that's okay. As far as, you know, we have organization letters to get a hold of, we need budget requests, we kind of go through all of that. So either we can do it all or we can divvy it up. So it's just kind of like to talk about that sooner than later so we're not rushing. It would be really nice to send a draft actually the final to Minuteman Monday, August 6th, 17th. I don't know if you have when warrant articles are gonna be due, or if anyone's really looked at that, but, you know, it looks like, you know, Monday, July 27th would be a good time to have all the warrant articles submitted on what we need and to kind of go over the whole warrant. That gives us a few weeks to go through the whole warrant. I did have a really good meeting with Bill Hall last Tuesday, excuse me, and he looked at our warrant and there's a lot of language that are extremely outdated. MMA has a lot of good templates and language changes. It's just, we need to look at our warrant language. He was willing to send it, Buxton's template in a Word document so we could go over that. They've worked really hard on getting theirs up to date, so if that's beneficial, he can do that. If not, then we don't have to use it. But I just feel like we really need to look at the warrant article pretty hard this year because some stuff did get left out last year, so.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, July's gonna go by really fast and, you know, there's a lot of stuff we need. We need the cover page, the dedication, all the organization letters, budget committee needs some of that too. So is there some time that we can go through that on Monday or?
Oh, I'm gonna say definitely. We do
Yeah.
have one person coming in who's interested in the ZBA.
Okay.
We've got the potential of a
Plowing contractor.
plowing contractor coming in. We don't know what time. But, you know, it certainly, we won't take a long time for the ZBA. and
Neither of those will take
Neither will
more
take
than 10
long,
minutes,
so yeah, we
Right.
definitely have to get moving on it because,
If we can just get a to-do list,
Yeah.
yeah, and just who's working on what,
Yeah.
so, if it's us, fine, but we just need to know who's working on what, so it's not duplicative or, and it just gets done, so.
we'll put everything in the share drive and I think contacting MMA for articles properly written would be a good idea. Because I know there's a couple of things that we probably should have and didn't. So, no, that's good.
That's all I got.
That's all you got. You guys all set?
Yep.
We have some members of the public here today. Does anybody have anything they want to say? No?
I'm fine.
Okay. Cliff?
Since I originally at public meeting requested, we put together a moratorium petition, and then we had that meeting. And then we had a change in the date that it was, appeared to be approved by the town. I have spoken to numerous people at that meeting that were under the impression that the select board was thinking that maybe they made some mistake changing the date back. And I said to them, well, I feel the same way as you. So I spoke to probably 40 to 50 people, so almost half of the group. And they were very upset when I approached the select board last week or the week before we were here and said I was under the impression, after speaking to Jen personally, that she would try to right the wrong. So I'm just expressing something to you that I've heard from a lot of people that were at this particular meeting. And they were very upset hearing that you had no intention whatsoever to consider their opinions. Just want to make that public. Want you to be aware that there are people like myself and many that were under the impression after that meeting that you were very much thinking that maybe there was a mistake made to change the date. That's my piece.
The only thing I would have to say to that, Cliff, is that I said that I would find out if amendments can be made by petitions to a moratorium. I never said that I was going to change anything.
Unfortunately, that everybody that I've spoken to were under the impression that you,
Me
the
personally,
select board,
the select board,
everybody, was in agreement that there was a mistake made and we needed to change that. So I've
At the
spoken to a
minimum,
number of people.
At the minimum, I thought that there was kind of a consensus that some further investigation or conversation would be had, and I really did think that. I'm gonna rewatch the video and see to make sure that I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say, I thought we were working towards a goal, and I thought we, without getting, you know, I'm gonna keep this in the way it's supposed to be said, but I thought we were working towards a goal. I thought we accomplished the goal, and then a few days later, I found out that we didn't accomplish the goal, so I was very disappointed. Having said that, when we were in the meeting, I didn't want to jeopardize the actual moratorium for the sake of one of what would presumably be at least 4 or 5 different goals that I have with that moratorium, if you will. So that's why I didn't put up the stink, if you will, about the change of the date. I would like to say that if it is possible, that we can, through petition, amend the moratorium, I will do the legwork to further that goal, to bring back the retroactive date. And I don't know how we go about that legally And I do think that was, and to your point, I think you said you would discuss whether it could be amended later. So, I mean, I think we would like to have an answer on that. Because if, you know, if, like I said, I'll go out and do it again. But if it's not even gonna happen, or if it's not even possible, then I'm not gonna, you know, drum people up and razz people up to not accomplish a goal that we all thought we were kind of accomplishing before, because to be honest, most of the people that signed it with me, and I mean, I can't speak to I only got 24 signatures or whatever on my paper, but that was part of the goal, was what didn't happen, without saying, you know, without getting into conversations we shouldn't have.
Cliff?
Yes, as I probably collected 35, maybe 40, all total. And everybody was under the impression that we were trying to do this very rapidly to get it in and accepted before the licensing date of whatever the lot is over here in the building. So, if you want to hold to what you did say to me, that you would look into the legal way of possibly changing the wording, that would be some positive news. However, in order for me to go to that step and let everybody know, you would have to sign away that, yes, once it was rewritten, that we would go to a vote again and not give us more of this obstruction stuff. You would have to sign a release saying that, yes, we've done this, and we need that release before we spent the time. I've spent hours getting signatures. I'm not gonna spend hours a
Every
day.
time I go to somebody's house, it takes me an
Yeah,
hour.
I don't wanna spend that time doing that if you're just gonna forget it again. No, sorry, this is wrong. If you're gonna help us in some fashion, when we get this crafted right and the town lawyer says, yeah, that's gonna fly, if you're willing to help us, the select board, you, whoever, and then the select board signs off on that, then we will spend the time and get all the signatures. No problem. I'm not gonna spend my time doing this if I'm gonna be slapped in the face again. I've had it. And so have a lot of other people. You know, it comes down to this. You can please one person and think that, well, we won't be sued by him. Or you can please the whole town that says, they did the right thing, okay, we're sued. And you can ask the town to maybe help. But to support one person because we're afraid we're gonna be sued by them? And I've heard the argument, well, where were you when we had the vote? That doesn't hold water. What holds water is the people finally showed up. And you have to accept the fact that people showed up, and not only showed up, they had to step up and make sure they were a Parsonsfield resident before they could go into that room and vote. Now, the day that you're talking about that there weren't enough people here to vote when it went through, that other meeting you said, where were you guys then? How many people signed that they were members of Parsonsfield at that meeting?
We had the same process.
Yeah, you had the same process for
Yes.
that meeting?
They had
Yes, we
92,
did.
there was 92 votes, so 65 to 27. It was I don't, am I saying it correct, it was a ballot, but it was a paper
It went to
ballot.
ballot.
Written ballot,
And we
yes.
checked every single one.
Okay,
I watched it.
okay.
I know he was issued a license with certain conditions. Does anybody know if any of those conditions have been met yet or not?
This is not the place to talk about
Yeah, we got-
that.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Where's the place to talk about that, I guess?
There ain't a place for you, Stan.
Huh?
There's no place for you to talk about it.
Okay.
I tried to impress this upon everybody that was at the moratorium meeting that night. And that is that, as a hurt person, when I call the rescue squad as an emergency, I'm expecting a response in a reasonable amount of time. We turned the documentation in, the 100 signatures, And it took almost 30 days to come up with a meeting date and so forth and so on. I had some other thoughts in there, but I'm not gonna color the situation up with those. My biggest concern is, when we turned in the documentation, it took an inordinate amount of time to come up with a date to have these people, everybody come in here and vote, and that saddened me greatly.
To be clear, the signatures that you submitted were requesting the select board to take action. So normally in a petition process, the petitioners draft the ordinance, and then we review the ordinance and get it in front of the voters. This was asking us to take action. So we had to take that action, have an ordinance drafted, go through the editing process of creating that ordinance, that moratorium, and then get that in front of the voters. And then there are certain legal timelines of notification that need to happen.
Respectfully, so that was partially by design, if you will, because we were trying to include you guys, we're not trying to just,
Leave you
I
out
mean,
of the equation.
we did the work of getting the petition, but we weren't trying to be, overly presumptuous or whatever in the fact that we had all this dialed in, we still were working with you guys, I was still trying to work with you guys if you wanna know the truth. I think that's why I'm asking if there's a way that we can get this amended.
We tried to make this as simple as possible. That's why we requested a moratorium on licensing of cannabis facilities. That was a simple wording. It got complicated when it got on your desk. That's how I see that, but
Well, there are also a lot of things that were built into the assumptions or conversations that you were having with everyone that you had signed that we weren't privy to, about timelines and how speedy that the process was going to take.
how does that justify waiting 30 days when you would do
20
an emergency request for a moratorium?
At what point was it listed as an emergency moratorium?
Written on it.
All
It's written right
moratoriums would
on
be
it.
emergency in nature, I believe.
It's
I don't
written
believe
right
there's a
on it.
moratorium.
On the draft that we created, on the
But we've had people sign.
the one that you had-
I don't believe that may not be true, but in all fairness, I believe all moratoriums are emergency in nature, they're always to halt possible action or possible emergency or development.
I wouldn't say they're all emergencies. They are usually written to limit or, to put some kind of restraint on something, but they're not all emergencies, no. And we did answer your request of putting a moratorium out that prohibited licensing and permitting going forward.
It's all a question of the timeline on it all. And we rushed and worked very hard to make sure that Danielle and Renee checked everyone through, and it was approved by, you guys took it in on a certain date and took it and approved it, and we were figuring, well, we must all be on the same page, and then a week later, we hear about an emergency meeting to discuss the moratorium. And in that meeting, right in front of us, 2 people were here, you weren't here, Aaron. 2 people voted to extend the date that was taken in, to make it further down, the date, way beyond when we had it brought in to this committee and legally accepted by the town. It was way beyond that date.
So, I'm sorry, Cliff,
Go ahead.
I guess we can talk about that forever, but the truth of the matter is there a determination that could be made that this moratorium, as it stands, could be amended? Or is this moratorium what we have and can't be amended?
It would go, you would have to do a petition and write what it is you want in warrant article form,
Okay.
and then it would go to town vote again.
Right. Would that, so that my own selfishness doesn't override the other goals, will that somehow affect the existing moratorium?
I would have,
I would assume it would stand, presumably, but it would only, because we'd only be amending a moratorium. If the amendment failed, I would assume that existing moratorium would stand.
Correct.
I'm asking.
Correct,
I'm
right,
asking
right.
for clarification.
Yeah.
Because to the point that I think the moratorium is important. If I was only doing it for the one thing, I'd be a totally different person right now. But I think it's important, so that's why I'm willing to still speak with you all.
It
And
doesn't,
be productive.
it doesn't matter to us here if it takes another 2 weeks to get it right and for you to be part of this process, so we don't waste our time collecting signatures the way we did on the first one. We went out with the assumption that we had a certain amount of time that we had to get our signatures in quickly because we knew that licensing was coming up, and we wanted to make sure that our small villages weren't all gonna fall into the category of, well, we can put up another marijuana shop, we got one here, we can go down to East Parsonsfield, West Parsonsfield, wherever there's a village, and put another one up. So we were under the assumption that if we could stop number one, then there would be a good effort at hand and that time to be able to correct the ordinances that exist. So the other local towns, local villages, rural villages, possibly would have a vote choice if they wanted that. We don't even have a vote choice. We did, but that date was changed. So I guess I'm saying, what Adam is saying is, we would like to go the petition route again. And we want to work with you and the town lawyer to be able to adjust what we've done. And we'll gather all the signatures again, but we need you to sign off if we're gonna do this. We don't wanna do this and then you tell us, sorry, we can't do that.
You're asking us to do something I believe we would not do. I'm not sure what you're asking, a release.
Well, what I'm asking is that if we're gonna work together on this, knowing specifically that we're looking to bring the date back to the original date before it was changed, because we're extremely concerned about what's happening on Route 160 in the small rural village of North Parsonsfield.
I think you have every right to go out and do that, Cliff. I don't even think you have to be in here asking us about that. You have every right to go out and do that.
You're gonna say, sorry, you know, our lawyer said we
I
can't.
think what he's trying to say, and I don't wanna put words in his mouth, is saying, okay, we go through and do this, and then you get a hold of your attorneys. We never get a chance to speak to them, or they don't come or anything, or on a phone with them. But you get a hold of attorneys, and then they say, you come back, tell us what attorneys advise us, we can't do it. We're doing what the attorney advises to. Those are the tough things that, you know, to go through all this and have it done.
Yeah, be dead on arrival.
You know, can we find out whether the attorney's gonna let us do it now?
Yeah, why don't you contact the
Before?
attorney? Like you said, you'd have to talk to the attorneys, say we're gonna tweak the moratorium, how it exists, but we wanna bring the date back before the licensing was approved.
What happens if we draft something up, give it to you and your attorney looks at it? Instead of us giving you something and your attorney modifies it and it wasn't really clear enough for the position that we have? Is that appropriate?
I think that's what a petition, I think that's what a petition is to begin with, that you can write something up and get people to sign it and bring it in front of the town.
And it could get killed on vote too.
No, you'd have to, we're gonna write
There's no
something up and it's gonna
guarantee,
have to go
right?
in front of you first because you're the organization that changed everything. Once it goes in front of you, then we can bring it in front of the town because we know the town who supported originally based that support on the fact that we were preventing our rural villages from being inundated with more marijuana shops.
Well, as it stands now, the moratorium has put a halt on any further
Well, the thing
licensing
is if we
or
got
permitting.
one going here, it's
You
it's
just
gonna
interrupted me,
affect all
Cliff.
the other towns.
Okay.
We
What other,
can't
we're
have
not
one.
talking about other towns, we're talking about
No, I'm
Parsonsfield.
talking about all other villages, excuse me, the wrong word.
Well, we have 180 days. We have 180 days to make the changes that the people want for zoning ordinances or whatever it takes.
But we're talking about two different things, Jen. I'm talking about us being able to stop that from happening right now till we have the 180 days to look and review our ordinances. Not let that go through and then deal with the rest of the town. So you're talking about the rest of the town, which we are very interested in, but we are also interested in what's happening right here. So that's part of the town, what's happening right here. Even though they got licensed, we can change that. But we don't wanna spend our time getting signatures and then feel, well, let me have my lawyer look at this. We'll be happy to get the signatures if the lawyer and you guys agree that we can go ahead with this. And what does that mean? That means we bring the date back to the original date before licensing was approved. That's all we're saying. If you want us, we will get the signatures, we will rewrite it with specifics, we'll give it to you, then you have to work with your lawyer to make sure it goes through, rather than the lawyer telling you, and then you can tell us, sorry, you've already done this, you can't change it.
Well,
Yeah,
so we
gotta
can't
find that
make,
out.
we can't make it go through. We can put it before the town.
Oh, that's what I mean. What I
Okay.
mean, it
Right.
says one step there. Once the lawyer approves it, and and you say, let's come in and we're gonna have a workshop, we're gonna look at what you wrote, what we wrote, you gave it to the lawyer, and we say, yeah, I think this is gonna work. Then we go to the town vote again. And if it goes through with their, with the backdated date, where it should have been originally, we're good. I just wanna be sure that we're not gonna collect signatures, and you're gonna go to the lawyer, and the lawyer says, well, we can't do this. We don't wanna collect signatures, we're gonna be shot down before we get,
Any petition that comes before the select board with a proper number of signatures on it has to go before the town.
Okay, well, that's the answer. That's good. That's the answer.
so
That's what citizen petitions are all about.
right, so if we put it with very specific dates on it, and we get the number that we need, and we have another meeting, you're not gonna stand up there and tell people, sorry, we spoke to our lawyer, and we can't do this. We're not gonna go through that again, we already did this once.
What would help, I think, give some easy feelings to everybody here, of the four people here, and there's a lot more listening to this at home.
Probably a lot more.
If you could get a hold of your attorneys, these people you get the legal advice for, you had them on, you want the executive session here, that we could hear directly from them, that we could make an amendment to that, to bring that back to the original date, right?
Yep. And then we'll have.
And I don't think that's a lot to ask for, and,
Nope.
it might be 15 minutes of a conversation with them where we can listen too.
I think we need to figure out if you guys are, if we're needing to make an amendment and how that stands legally, which is what you're asking us to do.
Yes.
Or if we need a new petition with all new wording. And I have no problem asking our attorney that, if you guys don't.
Because I know you
Oh,
said,
I'll
Yeah,
email
I mean, I know you,
yeah.
yeah.
I know that you, at that meeting, said you cannot amend that petition.
On the floor, because on the floor violates the time frames of the notification process.
I stand
So
corrected, I
generally,
understand.
that means that we've nullified what we're trying to do, because we've
Okay.
violated the times, because we changed the wording on what we advertised. Which is
Okay.
what I read out loud, against what somebody was, we were both reading the same article in different spots.
Right, and then you'd hear somebody you'd read what it was, and then somebody would read something part of what was good,
Well, that whole section is 5 pages long, so
Yeah,
everybody's
so-
looking at one paragraph in the middle of a meeting.
Okay.
One thing that has bothered me from the beginning, and I go back to the amount of time it took from the time the ordinance was turned, the moratorium request was turned in versus the dates that you came up with. I have done a lot of research, and you know from other documents you have in front of you, or have had in front of you, which I won't go into detail on. I cannot find anywhere where it references the time, the date, the logic, or the reasoning behind you coming up with June 1st, and then all of a sudden, 3 days later, it was wrong, and you had to change it to June 9th, I believe.
June first was the announcement date of the 18th hearings, what I,
Mm-hmm.
that was my assumption.
I cannot find for the life of me, and I have looked, and I cannot justify, I don't wanna say, I cannot come up with the same conclusion you did relative to the emergency to change it to June 9th. Cannot. And I don't, for the life of me, I can't understand what was the emergency that you had a meeting 3 days later to change the date.
Well, the emergency was so that we could keep the 7-day notification to have the special town meeting. If we did it any later than that, we'd have to push the special town meeting off further down the road after
But you
advertisement.
move the date further, how does that give you more days?
No, she's
No, no,
talking
no,
about
the
the
7
date where we
days
actually held the
from-
meeting and the vote.
Right,
Boy, you're gonna have to show me that on a piece of paper, cause I cannot understand
So if
that.
we had have gone under a regular meeting format to answer or to address that issue, we would have had to postpone the special town meeting, have another advertised date, which would have dragged it out even further. So that is the reason why we use the terms emergency meeting, which allowed the select board to have that meeting in order to keep your town meeting date in line. The emergency is a referral to the date of the petition, or is a referral to have the meeting so we could sign the paperwork appropriately to keep all of the notifications, the legal notifications in the deadlines.
So how does moving it ahead to the 9th, when you had the 1st, you had more days at the 1st than you did at the 9th? I just, that.
I think we're talking about two
we're
different
two, yeah,
things.
you're talking about two different things,
You're talking about the date on the petition, we're talking about the notification process and having the
Public
meeting.
notification.
Right.
It's different. It's different. And still,
And as aggravating as it is, public notification can shoot up or shoot down an entire issue.
Stan does raise the issue here. It sounds to me like if we either amend the moratorium petition or rewrite another one, it's gonna go in front of the public.
Right.
And we wanna be guaranteed that you're not gonna stand up and say, well, we spoke to our lawyer and it's impossible for us to
I
do.
think you've said that like 5 times.
Yes, we-
Exactly.
We've all
we
made it very
committed to getting
clear
that answer.
right.
We're not gonna change that answer. If
The
we
answer
get
is-
a petition, we're gonna put it in front of the public.
As an amendment or a completely new
Correct.
article.
Yeah.
Is that okay? And we'll have that in some, I mean, just for, whatever, say documentation's sake, will we be privy to an email or something?
Well, we've got 180 days now for the new referendum. The other thing.
And that can be also
The
renewed.
new,
Right, people are working on it, it's productive, and it's
the
not just
the other,
a
the
waste.
other thing I wanna discuss briefly, since we're still in public discussion, is that when we get together to review the land use ordinances for the small rural villages and, farm and forest, when we start to review those, it's gonna be a committee that has, every member has the same say, equal power in the review. Not somebody from the select board is gonna be the overseer and makes the decision. There's gonna be equal power of reviewing and coming up with amendments. Is that my understanding? Because we wanna be, some of us wanna be on that committee. And obviously we wanna pull,
We'll take that into consideration, and we haven't gotten as far as like determining committees or how
yeah,
that's
I know,
gonna
but
work.
we are gonna have to start it at some point. And we're not waiting for the winter time.
Correct, we are gonna have to start at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, 6 months is only so long. and-
right, and the planning board will be involved.
Yep. So,
They have to be,
couple
it's
of
a land
people
use
Right,
from
of
each
course they do.
one.
It's
Yep,
all land use,
yep,
yeah.
and
Well, not all of it.
the comprehensive planning committee will have a member on it as well, or two. Everybody, we'll find a group of people to be on
Are you
this.
telling us or are you asking us?
Yeah,
I'm
are
not
you
really
telling
sure
us
what
what
you're
we're
saying.
going to do?
Huh, what?
Are you telling us?
No, we're gonna find members to join the committee.
So you're telling us?
So you're telling us what you're gonna do?
Yeah, we're gonna find members to join this committee. You can find members too, I'm not telling you, we're gonna find members to join the committee as well.
Okay, do we have, is there anything else that you guys want to bring up in terms of amendments and petitions and?
Saban, you referenced you had spoken to somebody about the cleanup in East Parsonsfield. I wanna thank you for that.
No, the gentleman took it upon himself to call us.
It happened.
Yep.
I thought they brought a way bigger machine in than they needed to do the job, but it got done.
Ultimately, I think everyone has the town's best interest at heart. I think that person just wanted to clean it up too, for his own sake. Fires are horrible. There's too many buildings that are still standing that are burned around here.
I just want you to realize that when everybody keeps driving by it, it seems like you folks aren't doing anything, and I wanted to thank you for having done something, so.
One more note, I thought you said this week, our road commissioner was gonna come down to our road, or did you say next week? Because he hasn't.
I think.
I
Jen
talked to
said
him
she
and
would
he-
talk to
yeah.
him. We try to schedule an appointment where
Because
one of us could be
after
there
that
with you.
heavy rain, it's getting worse
Right.
again.
Yep, and he was really busy with Fenderson and Maple Crest, and
So can we get some date out of him eventually, or?
eventually, yes, I can text him again.
Okay, okay. And you I would like to chat with him, but he needs to regrade the road.
You know what,
and
Cliff?
Recrown it.
He
can't
is the
just-
road commissioner and he knows how to take care of roads,
Yeah,
so.
well, if he
you could
comes
bring that
down
up.
there, wait, if he comes down there without a grader, he can't ditch out the side drainage. You need a grader to do that. He can't come down to spread dirt with his prongs on the front, that's not gonna do it.
I think our initial discussion was trying to get us all there, or one of us and him and you there, to go through that.
Yeah, that would be
Without
good.
equipment.
That would be
Right.
good.
And
I
like
don't
Jen
have
said,
any
we're not
problem.
ignoring it. We've been trying to get these roads
Right,
further in
we
season.
had some money to spend before June on roads and that had to be done, so and he's
Chasing
still
stolen
working.
culverts.
Yep.
Yeah, when he comes in, I'd be happy to come there, if he's getting ready to do our road. But-
We'll let you know for sure.
I mean, the only reason I'm bringing it up is that road commissioners in the past would use a grader on our road and
Right.
re-ditch it every like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, we understand
He
that.
has
That's
not
why we
done it.
said we would try to get him to meet with you so that he
Okay,
could see your
so
point of
I'm
view.
not the only one
No.
dealing with it. Appreciate you.
No,
Thank you.
Thank you. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Have a good evening.